Here's a question that might surprise you. What if I told you that the difference between a good dentist and an exceptional dentist isn't talent? It isn't years of experience, and it isn't even the quality of their dental school education. The real difference is something much more fundamental and much more within your control. It's the presence or absence of systems. For over 2 decades in dentistry, I've worked with hundreds of dentists. From associates starting out to experienced practice owners managing several clinics. And I've noticed something fascinating. The most successful dentists are not necessarily the most naturally gifted ones. They're the ones who approach excellence systematically. So here's what typically happens in our profession. We graduate from dental school with excellent clinical knowledge, but we're never taught how to systematically pursue excellence. We rely on intuition. We make random improvements here and there, and we hope that somehow all the pieces will come together. But hope isn't a strategy, and random improvements don't lead to systematic excellence. Today I'm going to show you exactly how to build a systematic approach to excellence in your dental practice. Whether you're an associate dentist looking to elevate your professional standards, or a practice owner wanting to create excellence across your entire operation. By the end of this video, you'll have 3 comprehensive frameworks that will transform how you approach clinical excellence, service excellence, and operational excellence. And yes, I'll be giving you access to 3 detailed implementation guides that you can start using straight away. So we're going to cover 3 major areas. First, we'll establish what systematic excellence actually means and why it matters. Then we'll dive deep into the 3 pillars of dental excellence: the clinical, the service, and operational components of it. And finally, I'll show you how to implement each system in your specific situation, whether you're an associate or a practice principal. So let's get started. Let me start with a story that illustrates the difference between random improvement and systematic excellence. I once worked with 2 dental practices in the same city. Both had similar patient demographics, similar equipment, and dentists with comparable training. So practice A's improvements were ad hoc. They'd acquire new equipment, train staff, or maybe adopt new procedures whenever inspired, maybe by a course the principal dentist attended. While practice B took a different approach. They defined what excellence meant in specific, measurable terms. They created systems that achieved those standards consistently. They measured their progress regularly and adjusted their approach based on data, not feelings. After about 2 years, Practice B was outperforming Practice A in every measurable way. Patient satisfaction, treatment acceptance, revenue, profitability, and even staff retention. So what's the difference? Well, it's systematic excellence versus random improvement. So let me introduce you to the excellence equation. This equation demonstrates that systematic excellence is the sum of its parts. Clear standards, consistent processes, continuous measurement, and regular adjustment. When these elements are integrated, real excellence emerges. So let's break this down. Clear standards means you know exactly what excellence looks like in measurable terms. Not good patient care, but 95% of patients rate their experience 4.5 or higher on a 5-point scale. That's specific and it's measurable. Consistent processes means you have repeatable methods for achieving those standards every time, not just when you're having a good day. And continuous measurement means you're tracking your performance against those standards regularly, not just during annual reviews. And regular adjustment means you're constantly refining your approach based on what the data tells you, not what you hope is working. So why does a systematic approach matter so much? Well, for 3 reasons. First, there's reliability. Systems produce consistent results. When you rely on motivation or inspiration alone, your performance fluctuates with your mood, your energy, and your circumstances. Systems work regardless of how you feel on any given day. Second is scalability. Random improvements don't really compound. They're isolated events, while systematic excellence builds on itself. Each improvement makes the next one easier and more effective. Third is measurability. You don't improve what you don't measure. And you can't measure effectively without systems that define what you're measuring and how. Now, excellence in dental practice has 3 distinct pillars, and you need all 3 to achieve true systematic excellence. The first pillar is clinical excellence. So this is about the quality and consistency of your clinical work, your diagnostic accuracy, your treatment planning, your clinical execution, and patient outcomes. This is the foundation of everything you do for your patients. The second pillar is service excellence. This encompasses the entire patient experience, from the first phone call to long-term follow-up care. This pillar focuses on every touchpoint that makes a patient feel cared for, from their first impression to their ongoing relationship with your team. So service excellence builds trust and loyalty. It's a way to turn first-time visitors into lifelong patients. And finally, there is operational excellence, which covers the business and administrative systems that make everything else possible: scheduling, financial management, team coordination, and practice efficiency. It's the well-oiled machine behind the scenes that ensures your practice runs smoothly and profitably. Without strong operational systems, even the best clinical and service efforts can crumble. So most dental professionals focus heavily on clinical excellence, and that's important. But if you neglect service excellence, patients simply won't appreciate your clinical skills. And if you ignore operational excellence, you'll be constantly fighting inefficient systems that undermine both your clinical work and patient service. The magic happens when all three pillars work together systematically. So let's start with clinical excellence, because this is where many of us feel quite comfortable. But I want to challenge how you think about clinical excellence. See, clinical excellence isn't just about your technical skills, though those do matter enormously. It's about creating predictable, repeatable processes that consistently deliver optimal clinical outcomes. So here's where I want to introduce to you what I call the precise framework for clinical excellence. Let me walk you through each element. So the first element is preparation and planning. This starts before the patient even sits in your chair. Do you have standardized pre-appointment protocols? Do you review the patient's history systematically? Do you have your treatment sequence planned and your materials prepared? For associate dentists, this might mean developing your own preparation checklist that you can use regardless of which surgery you're working in. For practice owners and principals, this means creating standardized protocols that every clinician follows. The second element is reliable diagnostics. Systematic clinical excellence requires consistent diagnostic procedures. This isn't just about following the same steps. It's about having systems that catch what you might otherwise miss. Do you have a systematic approach to oral cancer screening? Do you use consistent criteria for diagnosing caries at different stages? Do you have protocols for managing patients with complex medical histories? See, all these require a system to deliver consistency. The third element is evidence-based treatment. This means having systematic criteria for treatment planning based on current research, not just what you were taught in dental school or what you've always done. Are you regularly updating your treatment protocols based on new research? Do you have systematic selection criteria for the materials you use? Do you track your success rates with different approaches so that you can make evidence-based decisions about what works best? The next element is consistent execution. And this is where many dentists fall short. They know what to do, but they don't do it the same way every time. Systematic excellence requires standardized clinical procedures. For example, do you prepare cavities the same way every time? Do you place restorations using the same sequence of steps? Do you have consistent protocols for managing patient comfort and anxiety? Next is integrated follow-up. So excellence doesn't end when the patient leaves your chair. Do you have systematic protocols for post-treatment check-ins? Do you track and analyze your complications and failures? And do you have processes for managing patients who experience problems? The sixth element is systematic documentation. And I'm really not talking just about legal protection here. It's about creating data that helps you improve. Are you documenting in ways that let you track patterns, identify problems, and measure improvements over time? And lastly, evaluation and improvement. Are you regularly analyzing your clinical outcomes and adjusting your approaches based on what you learn? Now, how you implement this framework depends on your role. So for associate dentists, well, you might not control all the practice systems, but you can absolutely control your personal clinical systems. Focus on developing your own preparation routines, diagnostic protocols, and documentation habits. Track your own outcomes and complications. Create your own continuing education plan based on systematic analysis of where you need to improve. And for practice owners, well, you have the opportunity to create a practice-wide clinical excellence system. This means standardized protocols that all clinicians follow, systematic continuing education programs, regular clinical outcome reviews, and systems for sharing best practices among your team. Does this all seem a bit overwhelming? Well, don't worry. If you watch the video, I will give away 3 implementation guides of all the concepts discussed in this video. Remember, systematic excellence does require measurement. So what should you track? Well, there are 4 key metrics to track here. First, track quality metrics. These include metrics like complication rates, redo rates, patient satisfaction with clinical outcomes, and treatment longevity. You also need to track efficiency metrics. These include metrics like treatment time consistency, material waste, and schedule adherence. Then track diagnostic metrics, diagnostic accuracy, like how do you find problems you missed initially. Or you can track preventive care effectiveness. And finally, you need to track learning metrics, continuing education hours, new procedures mastered, clinical skills assessments. These are all metrics you can track with a system. So let me share a quick case study. Dr. Maria, an associate dentist working in London, felt frustrated because her composite restorations seemed inconsistent. Some looked amazing, others were just okay, and she couldn't work out why. So she decided to apply systematic excellence. First, she documented every step of her composite procedure for 2 weeks, noting variables like isolation method, bonding agent application time, curing duration, and finishing sequence. Then she analyzed the data and noticed patterns. Her best results came when she used a specific isolation protocol and curing sequence. She standardized those steps and tracked her results for another month. And the outcome? Her composite consistency improved dramatically, her confidence increased, and patients started commenting on the quality of her work. That's the power of systematic clinical excellence. If you're ready to implement systematic clinical excellence in your practice, I have created a comprehensive clinical excellence implementation guide featuring the complete, precise framework. It includes step-by-step protocols, assessment tools, and a 90-day implementation plan tailored for both associate dentists and practice owners. Simply comment "precise framework" below, and I'll send you this guide absolutely free. Here's something that might surprise you. Patients can't really judge your clinical excellence. They don't know if your crown margin is perfect or if your root canal technique is flawless. But they absolutely can judge your service excellence. And they do, constantly. So this is why you can be an incredibly skilled clinician and still struggle with patient satisfaction, case acceptance, and referrals if you don't approach service excellence systematically. So service excellence starts with understanding that patients experience your practice as a journey, not a series of isolated appointments. Let me introduce you to the Journey Framework for Service Excellence. The J stands for Just Right First Impressions. This starts before patients even contact your practice. How does your online presence look? What happens when they call? What's their experience when they first walk in? And for associate dentists, this might be about your personal introduction process and how you establish rapport. For practice owners, this encompasses everything from your website to your reception protocols. The O stands for Outstanding Communication. And this isn't just about being friendly. It's about having systematic approaches to explaining diagnoses, discussing treatment options, managing expectations, and keeping patients informed throughout their care. Do you have consistent methods for presenting treatment plans? Do you use visual aids systematically? Do you have protocols for following up on complex cases? Next is understanding patient needs. Every patient is different. But you can have systematic approaches to discovering what matters most to each patient. Are they primarily concerned about aesthetics, cost, time, or comfort? Do you have processes for uncovering and addressing these priorities? The R stands for reliable service delivery. Patients want to know what to expect. Do you start appointments on time consistently? And do you deliver what you promise when you promise it? Do you have backup systems when things don't go according to plan? The N stands for never-ending relationship building. Excellent service doesn't stop when the treatment is complete. Do you have systems for maintaining relationships with patients over time? Do you remember personal details about your patients? Do you have protocols for special occasions and life events? The E stands for exceptional problem resolution. Problems will occur. That's inevitable. What matters is how you handle them. Do you have systematic approaches to addressing patient concerns? Do you have protocols for managing complications? And do you have systems for preventing the same problems from recurring? And finally, it's important to have year-round patient care. This includes preventive care protocols, recall systems, and ongoing oral health education. Are you systematically helping patients maintain their oral health between appointments? So now let's talk about service systems for associates and practice owners. For associate dentists, even if you don't control all the practice systems, you can absolutely control how you interact with patients. You can develop your own consultation protocols, create your own patient education materials, and establish your own follow-up routines. You can build relationships that patients associate specifically with you, not just with the practice. And for practice owners, you have the opportunity to create comprehensive service systems. This includes staff training programs, patient communication protocols, and patient relationship management systems. So how do you measure service excellence? Well, first you need to track patient satisfaction metrics. Regular surveys, online reviews, complaint resolution time. Then track relationship metrics, patient retention rates, referral rates, social media engagement. And you also need to track communication metrics, treatment acceptance rates, patient compliance rates, educational material effectiveness. And finally, you can track efficiency metrics, average waiting times, appointment punctuality, and communication response times. So a dentist I worked with, Dr. Mike, his practice was struggling with case acceptance. Patients seemed to like him, but they often declined recommended treatment or went to have second opinions elsewhere. So he decided to systematically analyze his treatment presentation process. He recorded, with permission, several consultation appointments and analyzed them. He discovered that he was overwhelming patients with technical details, but not really addressing their primary concerns about necessity, urgency, and cost. So he decided to develop a new systematic approach. First, he would ask patients about their main concerns and priorities. Then, he would present treatment options in order of priority, with clear explanations of benefits in terms the patients cared about. And finally, he would provide written summaries and follow up within 48 hours. And the result, his case acceptance rate went through the roof, and patient satisfaction scores were much higher. Again, systematic excellence made the difference. If you would like to transform your patient experience using the journey framework we've just discussed, I've developed a detailed service excellence patient journey toolkit with mapping templates, communication scripts, and implementation guides for every touchpoint. To receive your free copy, just leave a comment saying Journey Framework, and I'll send it directly to you. So operational excellence is the foundation that makes clinical and service excellence possible. You can be an amazing clinician with exceptional patient skills, but if your operational systems are broken, you'll be constantly fighting inefficiencies that undermine everything else you're trying to accomplish. So let me introduce you to the systems framework for operational excellence. The first element is streamlined workflows. This means eliminating unnecessary steps, reducing redundancy, and creating smooth processes from scheduling to invoicing. Do you have systematic approaches to appointment scheduling that maximize productivity while maintaining quality? Are your clinical workflows designed to minimize setup and transition time? The second element is yielding maximum efficiency. This isn't about rushing. It's about eliminating waste and optimizing resource utilization. Are you using your space, your time, and materials as effectively as possible? Do you have systems that prevent overbooking and underbooking? The third element is systematic resource management. This covers everything from inventory management to equipment maintenance to financial planning. Do you have systems that ensure you always have the materials you need without having excessive inventory? Do you have regular annual or biannual maintenance protocols to minimize equipment downtime? The fourth element is team coordination and communication. Even if you're an associate dentist working mostly independently, you're part of a team. Are there systematic approaches to team communication? Do you have protocols for handling schedule changes, patient emergencies, and coordination between clinical and admin staff? The fifth element is error prevention and quality control. This means having systems that catch mistakes before they become problems. Do you have systematic verification procedures for prescriptions, appointments, and invoicing? Do you have protocols for double-checking critical information? The next element is measurement and continuous improvement. Are you tracking operational metrics and using that data to make systematic improvements? This includes everything from appointment punctuality to supply costs to equipment efficiency. And the final element is sustainable business practices. This means creating systems that can operate effectively over the long term without burning out you or your team. Are your operational approaches sustainable? Do they support work-life balance while maintaining excellence? So for associate dentists, you might think operational excellence is entirely outside your control, but that's not true. You can develop personal operational systems that make you more effective regardless of the practice environment. This includes your own time management systems, your personal continuing education planning, your clinical efficiency protocols, and your professional development tracking. You can also contribute to practice operational excellence by following established protocols consistently and providing feedback on operational improvements. And for practice owners, you have complete control over operational systems, which means you have enormous opportunities to create a competitive advantage through operational excellence. This includes everything from practice management software optimization to staff scheduling systems to financial management protocols. So you need to track 4 types of metrics to maximize the operational excellence in your practice. First are the efficiency metrics: schedule utilization rates, patient wait times, treatment room turnover times. Second are the financial metrics. What is the cost per patient? What are the overhead ratios, collection rates, and profitability per procedure? Third are the quality metrics: error rates, rework requirements, and patient complaints related to admin issues. And finally, you need to track team metrics. These include staff satisfaction, turnover rates, and training completion rates. To help you implement these operational excellence principles immediately, I've created a comprehensive systems framework manual with workflow templates, efficiency protocols, and measurement tools for both associates and practice owners. For your free copy, simply comment Systems Framework below. Excellence in dentistry is not about perfection. It's about creating systematic approaches that deliver consistent, high-quality results, whether you are focusing on clinical service or operational excellence. Remember that the journey toward excellence is ongoing and deeply rewarding. As you implement these frameworks in your practice, you will not only see improvements in patient outcomes and satisfaction, but also experience greater professional fulfillment and work-life balance. Excellence becomes less about striving and more about thriving through systems that support your success. I hope you have found value in this systematic approach to excellence in dental practice. Remember, small, consistent improvements lead to remarkable results over time. Start with just one area where you can implement a systematic approach this week and build from there. Thank you for watching.